go ahead and let everybody get in. So the evacuations with Charleston and Beaufort County are continuing and seem to be going well. But before we talk about any other evacuations, I want to turn it over to John Quagliarello and let him speak in terms of what we saw this morning, what we discussed this morning with our team, and where we see this storm going. So, John?
Thank you, Governor. Hurricane Matthew is forecast to strengthen tonight into a Category 4 hurricane as it approaches the east coast of Florida. Eventually, Matthew will make a turn toward the north and gradually weaken, but is expected to pass very near or just off the South Carolina coast late Friday night and during the day Saturday. At this point, it looks like Matthew will be very close to the coast as it moves up through the Charleston area, and then at some point make a really sharp turn to the right as it approaches the upper coast of South Carolina. I do want to point out, when you look at the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, don't focus on just connecting the dots between the points there. The storm is going to make a much closer approach to the South Carolina coast than this map depicts, and then make a sharp turn to the right as it nears the Myrtle Beach area. We are feeling, fairly confident in that track at this point. There are hurricane watches currently in effect up through Charleston County, and also prototype storm surge watches up through Charleston County, and those watches will likely be expanded later today with the possibility of warnings being issued as well. In terms of impacts, we expect conditions to really start deteriorating Friday night and be at the worst through the day Saturday into Saturday night. In terms of the actual impacts, for winds, we're expecting gusts at or above hurricane force, possible mainly along the coast. Tropical storm force winds could extend much farther inland and possibly persist for up to 18 to 24 hours. Extensive tree damage and significant power outages are very possible with any areas that experience hurricane force winds. In terms of storm surge, the lower South Carolina coast seems to be most at threat right at this point, but everyone along the coast should be prepared for some storm surge. Worst case scenario appears to be 4 to 8 feet of storm surge inundation, so that's the height of the water above ground. And of course, it's going to be worse if the storm tracks right along or just inland of the coast. I want to point out that the storm surge threat isn't limited to those people living right along the immediate coast. The storm surge threat extends well inland in some areas. You look down the Beaufort area, we have quite a bit of concern down there that people don't realize how far inland that storm surge threat actually exists. So you don't have to be living right at the coast to need to evacuate, because the water can reach you. If you want more information on the storm surge graphic to see if you're at risk, just go to the Hurricane Center website at hurricanes.gov. And the other threat we're concerned about is the threat for heavy rainfall. Currently, the forecast is calling for 8 to 14 inches of rain with locally higher amounts, as you'll see on this map here. It's a considerable amount of rainfall, and with that we'll have flash flooding. Many roads will become impassable, and you might actually lose access to some communities, so please be prepared for that. So overall, the National Weather Service asks residents to take this storm very seriously and to follow the advice of local emergency management. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And so with that, we want to continue to urge anyone in Charleston or Beaufort counties, they should already be evacuating. We want that to happen. We are going to go ahead, and if we could put the sketch up of, we're going to be evacuating portions of Horry and Georgetown County. You will see there the sections in red that he's going to show you at Zone A. Well, actually, it's in pink on this. So those will be, that evacuation will start at noon, is when we want to plan on doing that. As you heard, John, the big concerns that we have are storm surges are going to go much further inland than people realize, and that's a lot of water all at once. The winds are going to be incredibly high, and then the rain is what we're concerned about, that may give us something similar to what we had with the flood last year, when you're talking about 8 to 12 inches and getting into higher numbers past that. So we do want to be careful. We want everybody to take this seriously. We're doing this for a reason, and it's because we really do question John and his colleagues on what it looks like. We'll continue to look at this, and we're going to look at it again this afternoon. So having said that, we are coordinating with our sister states. Florida and Georgia have already declared portions of evacuations, and so we're just working with them on traffic and making sure that we're all talking together so that we're running with the same message. The I-26 Lane reversals ran beautifully, and I want to thank the National Guard, all law enforcement, Director Smith, Secretary Hall for doing a great job with that. Believe it or not, the average time to get from Charleston to Columbia now is 1 hour and 21 minutes. The average miles per hour is 70 miles an hour. So we actually want people to slow down a little bit. But that's a great problem to have because people are moving through, and that lets everybody else that needs to evacuate know that this is the time to do that, because we will continue those lane reversals as long as we see the traffic moving, and then we will move that back accordingly as we need to. As of 6 a.m. this morning, 175,000 people have evacuated. That's not enough. We need to have more people evacuating, and this is the part that I want you to think about. If you are still sitting at home, if you have not evacuated, gas stations are getting ready to close. Your pharmacies are getting ready to close. Everything is going to leave because people have to protect their own families, so they're all going to do that. So, number one, fuel up quickly. We know the Circle K gas stations are going to start closing at noon, but everything else will close. So you will not have access to stores, gas stations, pharmacies, all of those things. So we really do need you to think about that. The gas stations will close down, so you will not be able to get the gas, and so that's something that we're very concerned about along the coastline, and especially in Charleston and Beaufort, that's going to start happening today. I can't thank enough law enforcement and National Guard. You've seen them all along the checkpoints. We have 700 control points, and they literally are everywhere. But they're working long hours, and they're doing a lot of work. And so I hope that you'll remember them and our DOT maintenance crews as we go forward, and thank them as you come in contact with them. We have 100 buses positioned right now at the North Charleston Coliseum. So anyone that needs to evacuate, please do go ahead and start looking at loading those buses. We will bring them in to the upstate as we need to and make sure that they get shelter as well. We have 38 shelters currently open as of 11 o'clock last night. We can have 50 additional at any given time, so whenever those start to fill up, we have more than enough room to do that. So far, 677 residents are living in shelters at this point. We do have one special needs shelter that is open, but we have 4 more available as needed also. 2 pet-friendly shelters are available in the Low Country, and so for those who are worried about their pets, we do have some pet-friendly shelters that are open, and I know that makes a big difference, and those are in the Low Country. DHEC is in the process of transporting 150 patients from 2 nursing homes, and so that is continuing to go smoothly. Hotels. All of the hotels across the state, not including the coast, are pretty much full. I think we have a few rooms left in Anderson, but your best bet now is Charlotte. They have a few rooms left too. So again, Expedia, Airbnb, whatever you need to do, that's your best bet to make sure you're not wasting your time trying to find a place. But we think there were 20 plus rooms maybe in Anderson, and then not much more than that in Charlotte. So you do want to make sure you take care of that. Other than that, I will tell you that our number one goal has and will always be to make sure we keep everyone safe. Everything that we're hearing about this storm is one that we're watching closely. It is going to hug the coastline, but it is also going to go further in. And I think everybody related to that during the 1,000-year flood, when they saw how far the water did actually go in, that's what we want you to worry about with the storm surges, because that water above land is the big concern there, and then along with the winds as well. So with that, I think I talked fast and gave you everything you needed to know. I will open it up for any questions that you have or for anyone else standing behind me.
Governor, what about lane reversals in the Horry, Georgetown area? Are those planned? And then also, do we have an idea how many people stayed behind in the Low Country area that we're encouraging to get out?
So if I look at this right, if we had 175,000 that were moving, we were looking at 250,000 that needed to be evacuated. So we've still got a few people that are not at this point leaving, and so that's why we want to encourage them and let them know everybody else is leaving. So stores, gas stations, pharmacies, all those are going to be gone, and they'll be left there. So that's the main thing. Lane reversals in Horry County, I'll let you.
We are in position to execute a lane reversal on US 501 in Myrtle Beach, but at this time there's no need to implement the reversal, but again we are in position should the need arise.
And those lane reversals, whether it's 278 or 21 or now we're talking about 501. Those we work in conjunction with the counties on what they feel is needed, and then we work accordingly. The I-26 lane reversal will continue as long as we see that traffic moving through. Any other questions?
The travel time, is that for the reverse lanes, since people can't get off, or is that for the, because we had some reports from the other side
Right.
that got on early and it was taking them hours?
That's the reverse lanes. And again, you want to remember, if you happen to get in that reverse lane, it's bringing you all the way into Columbia, so you can't get off. But that is for the reversal lanes.
Governor, where's
Yes.
FEMA at this point in South Carolina?
So on the ground, FEMA's on the ground. They have pre-positioned assets. We have additional teams that are coming in. You'll see the FEMA trailer set up shortly in terms of that. And we spoke this morning about the requests we're going to need. Our team is now talking about search and rescue. We're talking about recovery, and then we're going to lead into reentry. But right now, our focus is we're always trying to think 48 hours ahead. But FEMA is great. They've been on the ground, they've been in our meetings, and they also talk to us about the requests that we're going to need during the search and rescue time and also post-storm.
And what other federal assets besides the FEMA team, if General Livingston can maybe
Yes.
provide an update about anything?
Yes, we have our liaisons with Department of Defense on the ground, so we have access to Department of Defense assets throughout the nation.
And any specific, I know you were talking about water rescue. Do we need more helicopters at this time? Or what's it
At
looking
this
like?
point, our aerial rescue is in good shape. We do have additional aerial rescue available with a 24-hour notice. So we're in good shape as far as rescue assets are concerned throughout the state and throughout all agencies, not just the military.
And can you provide also an update about the National Guard? How many people are activated? How many soldiers are activated at this time?
We have 2,000 on the ground right now, mainly doing traffic control, but they will transition into recovery teams, security teams working for local law enforcement.
And then also DNR is handling a lot of water rescue, so they'll be working closely on what's needed and where it's needed. But right now, DNR's done a great job at flying over, checking to make sure that everything's in place, but they are already looking to position themselves post-storm.
Can you give an update on dams? I know yesterday you suggested that a lot of private dam owners lower their levels. Have they done that, and is there any threat to those?
I'm going to let Director Heigl speak on that front.
Yes, we did issue an advisory last night in advance of the storm to ask owners to take precautions, not only to look at their water levels, but also to understand that this storm comes with wind. And if you have vegetation around the dam and the wind topples the tree, it's like pulling a plug from a bathtub. So we have sent that advisory out. We've gotten great response. And at this point, we just, ready ourselves.
Are there any that are being threatened right now? Any weak dams from October that have any issues?
I would say that many, sorry about that. We have many dams across the state that are compromised from a year ago. If you go on our website, you'll get information around the repair orders and the emergency orders that are outstanding on those. We continue to process those, but it's only been a year. And so a lot of owners have not had the time to really complete the repairs necessary. So this is really a circumstance where we want people to understand that we start, in some cases, from a weakened position from the owner's perspective. And so that's why we're having to be extremely vigilant. We've asked them, many of them are getting their engineers involved. So it's, we do the best we can.
Any pre-hurricane measures taking place in terms of sandbags or rocks being laid down on weakened dams from October?
At this time, there's no sandbagging that's taking place. But we do have owners that are lowering the pond levels, getting the water down, in coordination with the lower stream, any pond reservoir owners that might be downstream from them. So that coordination is key. We do ask owners to work with one another. We certainly see that in the Gills Creek area now. There's much better coordination than a year ago. But many of these are rural in the area of the state that we're talking about. So roughly speaking, we're talking about 50 dams that are in the coastal zone area. We have 2 that are east of I-95 that are subject to the emergency orders from a year ago. And so we've been in contact with those. So we have been talking directly to owners, to their engineers. We have been emailing all of dam owners because even outside of the coastal areas, we're expecting some rain. So, this is just it's an ongoing monitoring situation.
And of the 50 dams, is that total, or are those 50 weakened compromised dams?
No, that's the total. That's not in any way suggesting the state of repair of those dams. 47 of those, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, are low-hazard dams.
Okay, and then, another thing is while they're not needing sandbags for the dams, Corrections continues to pump out 10,000 sandbags a day because the counties are requesting those dams, and they've actually, Director Sterling has added more inmates to the process so that we can make sure that we have more than enough supplied to be able to go forward.
Are any of the prisons or any of the county jails in harm's way, and do any of the inmates have to be moved?
So what we've done with the prisons is all the state prisons, they're all in lockdown, but they are, they're getting food, they're getting, showers are a little bit slower because they're having to do those one at a time, but all of the prisons have been taken care of. There were some prisons that took on others if we thought they were needed to be moved, but in all cases, all the prisons are fine. They just are in lockdown at this point.
Governor Haley, the offices in Kershaw County, are they still open? Schools in Kershaw County still open? I know they weren't part of the original order. Is there a reason why they weren't part of the original order to close? Or?
So the reason that Richland and Lexington were part of the original order was really because when we did the lane reversal, we needed to make sure that we took all of that congestion off the road. So when you think of Malfunction Junction, that was a big part of why we didn't do that. So we only did it to where we thought it was going to cause congestion or we thought it was going to be a problem.
The buses that you mentioned yesterday, you said that you would revisit the Greenville school buses. You said 100 are available today. Are those the Greenville buses, and have the rest been sent back?
So the rest went back last night at 9 o'clock, and so we've left 100 on the ground. We want to thank Greenville School District along with Lexington 1 and Lexington 5 that have done a great job in helping us with that. But because we didn't see the amount that Charleston County expected, we went ahead and sent those back.
And Governor, have you been talking with USC officials again regarding the USC-Georgia game on Saturday night? Is there any update there? I know they're expected to make a decision today. Have you given any input to them at this time?
Yes, so we have been in communication. I was in communication with Coach Tanner again this morning in terms of what they want to do. That is a complete school decision in terms of that. That's not anything that I need to make. But what we did talk about was the fact that if they went forward with the game, there would be no state resources that could help them. So the 100 to 200 troopers that they usually request or need would not be available to them because we have to make sure they're on the roads and taking care of the drivers. So they will be making a decision this afternoon, from what I understand.
Do you think if they did go forward without those up to 200 troopers that it could be problematic?
I'm going to leave that up to the school because I think they know what they're required to have. I think they know what their issues are. They're very conscious of safety, and they're very conscious of making sure that things move forward only if they can handle it. So right now they're looking to see if they can do it with the assets they have in place. They may also borrow from Richland County more, to make sure they supplement with what we normally give from the state.
That 250,000 figure that you first used on Tuesday, is that for the entire coastal area of the state, or was that limited to the lower state?
That was limited to the lower part of the state.
So overall?
Overall, it'd be $500,000. I want to confirm that.
That's correct.
Yes, it'd be $500,000. One more thing on the shelters, I do want to say, if you are going to a shelter, you can either look at the hurricane, the EMD website on what you should take, but the main thing you need to know is take comfort things. Take your blankets, take your bedding, take those things that you're going to need to be comfortable. Also, if you have special food requirements, they can't accommodate the special food requirements. So we do want to make sure that people who are coming with those, that they automatically know to bring those foods that they're going to need, along with baby formula. We don't have baby formula in the shelter, so we want to make sure that they know that those types of things won't be available. But other than that, they will get meals every day, snacks, water as needed. But if there's any special items, those are not in the shelters. Okay?
Governor, if I could clarify one thing.
Yes, sir. Please.
I want to talk about the weather just a little bit. We talk about the 100-year flood and the hurricane, two different items. We're very concerned about the storm surge coming in on the hurricane and the high winds. It is a rain event, but the rain event is mainly I-95 east. We're going to have some rain up here in the Midlands, but it's just going to be a bad thunderstorm up here. east of the I-95 is where we're really concerned about water issues like we had during the floods.
Yes. Low-lying areas, coastal areas are very much in our thoughts. Any other questions? All right, well, we will have an afternoon press conference to give you another update, and I'm sure they'll get you the times. Again, we would encourage everybody now in Charleston, Beaufort, and then as of noon for those portions of Horry and Georgetown County, please do take the time to evacuate. This is a storm that we do want to take seriously. We have done everything from opening up the roads to making sure we've got people set up along the roads. We're doing everything to accommodate, but my biggest concern right now is that residents that don't leave today are going to realize suddenly there's nothing open. So they're not going to be able to have access to anything. And we want to make sure that you realize when those things close down, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do to help. So we do want people, if they've been holding out, to go ahead and realize it's time to move. Thank you very much.